Guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. I'm Joker with a face, radio, and a voice for print. All right, let's do a video and audio check. You guys got me? Yes, no, yes, good audio. No turning back. Guys got video, got audio, we good? Okay. For some reason I on my OBS I clicked go live, which started this stream, but it also started the old stream that I did last week. So YouTube, everybody. Um, yeah, you lose the music when I put the camera over to me. I don't have it keep going. All right, couple things. Yes, I shaved my beard. I do this whenever I start working out. The reason being is because my face is the is my telltale sign whether I'm losing weight or gaining weight. I lose it in my face last. So I thought I'd clean up a little bit and see how things looked for me. So I don't like how I look unshaven anymore, because to me, I look very chubby and fat. I am chubby and fat, but that's why I shave it to remind me that I'm chubby and fat and to keep me motivated in the gym. I'm doing like every other day eating, so I fast for a day and then eat the next day and fast and eat, and and then I'll lose the weight over the next 30 to 60 days. But whenever I look in the mirror and I got these chubby chipmunk cheeks going, but people seem to like it because they can see my dimples and stuff. But I'm just telling you. Okay, so anyway, if you just joined the other live stream, I shut it down, deleted it. So hopefully everybody will join me over here. Lose weight, get in shape. We're getting ready to go into the holidays, which is the easiest time to gain weight because of at least here in the States, Thanksgiving and family and Christmas and everything else. I'll tell you this year, with as much cost as food is getting to be, I think it's a good time to lose a little weight. I do it the kind of the keto way. So what I do is I cut out all carbs, and my face tightens up instantly. My pores get better. I feel a lot better. I start drinking about a gallon of water, or 4 liters, I believe that is, for those of you, or maybe it's 2 liters. I forget. Anyway, it's a couple liters of water, gallon here in the United States, every day, and I cut out carbs completely, and the fat seems to melt off pretty good. It's hard going to the gym and getting energy to do that for the first little bit. So, all right. So I've turned on. You have to be a subscriber to leave a comment. You got to be subscriber for 5 minutes. So if you're just a person that watches, make sure to subscribe. That way you can leave a comment. I do that to keep the bots out. And there's a 10-second pause between your comments. And again, that's to keep the spam from just flying crazy, because I don't have any moderators that are regulars here or any of that stuff. So, um, okay. So what am I going to talk about today? So I wanted to talk about men are being taught negative social conditioning, and all of society is right now. Let's be honest with it. Okay, so TikTok is reaffirming the the craziness, and what's really interesting is that I'm hearing from various people, and these are people in media and people that are much bigger than I am, that when Chinese view TikTok, they're seeing people doing math and kids 6 years old playing concerto violin and things like that, and anything else that's kind of the craziness. They're saying no, it's not going to happen over here, but they're doing the opposite here in the United States, and they're letting all the crazy stuff, whether it's real likes and real, but they're promoting it to where people see this weird goofiness that's going on right now, and it's conditioning to accept the departure from normal society. It's all done for a reason, and I know you guys have noticed this. I mean, it seems like everything is just either falling apart or going crazy. um Everybody's just gone mad, and it seemed to happen all of a sudden. But what's happening is, I think a lot of more either conservative voices or people that are contrary to the message are being removed from social media, and the crazies are being promoted. And so younger people today think they need to be part of the crazies. If you would, guys, make sure to smash the like button. I don't normally ask, but I'm trying a little experiment here, because the last I don't have a graph here, But for the longest time, I would go a month and only get about 1,000 subscribers. But when I did a live stream, boom, I got 500 and then 300 and then 500. And the most important thing for me, at least with this channel, is to get the message out and to make sure people keep hearing this kind of stuff. So please like it, and make sure to share it if you like this content. Okay, so let's talk about the social conditioning now. First and foremost, let me make it very clear to the 400 that are in here currently. Let me make this very clear. I hate all government. I hate all governments all over the world. I hate them all. I hate both sides. I hate all of it. Let me be clear. But so if I say I like pancakes or I hate pancakes, it doesn't mean I automatically love or hate waffles. Completely different thing. Let's be clear about this, okay? Because I always get pushback when I say, look at what this person's doing, and it's automatically assumed I'm on the other side. I'm on no side. I hate all of it. I would like little local government and the big government to handle foreign affairs and maybe make sure that we have a monetary system, but that's it, and not even the federal bank. So I always want to make sure this is all clear to you guys before I get into this stuff because I always get pushback and I hate it because then I end up in the comments arguing with people about this stuff. So let's see. Curiosity, you guys do not have to do this, but are super chats at least on? And that way, because I don't do this often enough. I don't remember if I have to hit a button. You don't have to super chat anything. Don't have to send any money. Just tell me, do you see the box there that makes it available? That's all I'm asking. Because if I forgot to turn it on, that means I need to watch chat super, super close. So just please let me know. I would appreciate it. Okay. All right. So the box is there. Okay, good. Later on this afternoon. So right now, my time, it is 3:30, 15:30, in about an hour and a half. So this is not going to be a long live stream, but in an hour and a half, I'm going to be over on Locals, betterbachelor.locals.com. It's for free. You don't have to sign up and become a supporter. It's going to be for all members over there. I'm going to do my next When Tinder Goes Wrong thing. And if you can't join me for the live stream, that's over there. That's okay. I'm going to load it up over here, edited probably, because I have to edit everything for YouTube. But if you want to see the like live, raw, crazy, like old Joker stuff that was like the stuff I used to do 2 years ago, where I made fun of everything and didn't have to worry about big mama YouTube, then go over to betterbachelor.locals.com. And again, you don't have to be a supporter. See, Dungeon's fun. Thank you, man. You're like a regular here now. Fasting is the fastest way to lose weight versus gym. Yeah, I'm actually doing both a little bit right now. So again, betterbachelor.locals.com. I'm going to be doing this in about an hour and a half. So we're not going to go too long here on YouTube, but I wanted to get this lesson out. And this is my alternate, my alternate thumbnail for my live stream over there on, Locals, which is Never Stick Your Prick in Crazy. So this is my YouTube thumbnail you see. This is my Locals one. I get to do it like that. So and before I get too deep in, we'll get started here in just a second. A little reminder, Aaron Clary has come out with a great book. And if you don't know who he is as an author, he's like a red pill guy. He's a champion of single men. He's a bachelor. He owns his own land. He built his own home on it. And he's not like rich. It's just he worked hard and said, I don't want to be a part of society and I'm going to find my way. So he's very similar to what I'm doing, except he can write English. I'm not such a good author. If I could write my words into books, Aaron Clary would be the guy to go to. So he's got a brand new book called The Menu, and it's called Life Without the Opposite Sex. Please check that out. I get them on. I signed out, so you guys can't see my personal information, but I do belong to Audible. I think I pay like $10 a month. I get 2 credits, which is 2 free books. This is not a plug for Audible by any means, but I listen to everything because that way, when I'm walking my dog Walker here, or I'm at the gym, I can listen. And I'm working my way through the menu. I'll probably have a full review of it when I'm done with it. But if you guys want to read it right now, I would really suggest checking it out. This is brand new by Aaron for the last little bit. Mystery 1976. Thank you for the $5. Here's to the tip jar. Thanks for everything you do, Joker. Stay pressing forward. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. All right, so let's read some headlines here, and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay. Conditioning. We're talking about social conditioning. Here we have Eat the Bugs. UK school children fed insects to encourage sustainability. So, for the longest time, if you talked about, oh, we're going to eat the bugs and you'll own nothing, and you know, the World Forum and all this other stuff, you were called a conspiracy theorist. But here we are, just a year or two later, and it's coming right down the pipeline. And who are they targeting first? Kids. Why? Because kids are the most open to new ideas. Kids are the most malleable. And if you socially condition them that this is normal, this is fine, nothing to see here, eat the bugs, live in your pod, everything's fine, you will own nothing, you will be happy, trust the government. That's where they're going with this stuff. And yes, a lot of this has to do with young men and young women, but let's face it, a lot of the young women and the TikTok crazes and all the and I have a screenshot to show this. They're the ones leading us down into this craziness. It's going to have to be men that stand up and say no to this. No, I'm not. If this is what the schools are doing with my kids, I'm going to find a private school. I'm going to homeschool. I'm going to do something else with my kids. And a lot of parents say, I don't have any options. I don't have any options. I got news for you. Right now, you're going to either have to find an option or you're going to have to try to deprogram your kids when they come home from all this craziness. And I'll tell you right now, it's a lot easier to have them avoid the social conditioning than than trying to deprogram. Doug's fun. Thanks again. $2. That's the reason. Advocate homeschool if possible. Oh, definitely. If I at the tender age of 49 decided to have kids, she would have to stay home and she'd be a stay-at-home mom and she would be their school teacher, while I was working if I had a traditional job, and I would be their educator. I'd be teaching them survival stuff and hunting in the woods and how to set traps, and I'd have to learn that as well. But how to farm, and real math, because now kids are graduating high school. They don't know math. They don't know basic algebra. You've seen the video clips of people can't even find the United States on a map, for God's sakes. Um, but again, they're hitting the young. Another thing that I snapped up, and I don't want to read any of these articles, but I just want to get your brain thinking. I want to get your wheels rolling. Of you notice who they're targeting with all this stuff. They say sex education book instructs parents to let their young watch them do the old in and out because they're trying to normalize, oh, it's all casual and it's just fun and don't worry about love and yeah, it's just about hooking up, guys. It's all feeling, all feeling fun and good in the moment. And the reason why I keep stopping to read super chats is I'm a dummy and I don't know how to pull them back up. I don't even know if I can show them on the screen if I click on them, or so, because some people, I see them pop up during streams. I don't know how to make them pop up. People are smarter than I am. I'm just so stupid at this. Pulse Kebab says $5. Thank you very much. When are you going to do a live stream with Pop and Blake? I should reach out to them. I should reach out to them and do something along those lines. But again, they're trying to normalize this activity with young people because it breaks down the family. It breaks down society. They're trying to get kids to not listen to their parents, listen to teachers, stop listening and have critical thinking, listening to the government. The only ones that are going to stop this, guys, I think the only ones that'll stand up and say, that's it, no more, I'm done with this, is men. Because a lot of times women are just like, oh, I'm going to fall in with this and I'm going to go along with this. And how do you know? And again, let's keep away from the politics of this, because this is happening in Australia and in the UK and Germany and France and all these different countries. So it's not about a party per se. But they did this on Fox News and they asked, do you agree some men can get pregnant? The Democrats say 22%. But here's the thing I want you to see right here: educated women, 36%. More than 1 in 3 are willing to now say that men can get pregnant. And they say this is a WPA intelligence poll, but I'll tell you right now, I don't see too much intelligence. And what I think's funny, if you look at Greg Gutfeld's face right here, that's pretty much my face when I read stuff like that. I'm like, is this really where we are now? But again, it's normalizing it. That's why they're pushing all the crazy stuff like this. U.S. Air Force based a kid-friendly drag show. They said it's burlesque, it's hypersexualized, not something appropriate for children, said an anonymous source. And this is the military, gang. This is our United States Air Force base. This has nothing you can I mean, yes, we have certain, political appointments in right now, but this is our military. And so when you're again, when you're doing this, why? Ask yourself why. Now, if you look at this photo right here, a woman, a woman, a woman, a woman, a woman, actually, that may be a man holding his kid. A woman, some dude, woman, woman. We're gonna have to be the ones to step up and say, "This is not acceptable anymore," if you feel it's unacceptable. Now, for me, I have no problem with this right here. If you wanna have that kinda show, go ahead. You know, where I used to live, they'd have, clubs Friday, Saturday night. Sometimes these nightclubs would have these type of shows. You had to be 21 or older to enter. And it's no difference to me whether it's a dude dressed as a woman taking his clothes off or a woman that is a woman taking her clothes off. This needs to be kept away from kids. But again, why do they keep targeting the young? Because they're prepping the next generation to come up as weak, easily malleable, having no family values, being confused, and that's what's happening right now. And we're getting to the studies, but I want you to understand like what I'm seeing so that when we get to the studies, that's kind of like the hammer at home where you go, okay, I see what's going on. Tries in six, $2, thanks. Are you a biologist, Joker? I'm enough of a biologist to know that there are only two sexes. It's crazy, I know. Um, and this is another thing too. Now, this is spinning it in a different direction. This is from the Sun News from Myrtle Beach Online. They say the Rossism. I have to say some of these words crazy because of YouTube's audio filters. The isms, it's at an all-time high. And this particular writer decided to say, well, actually, it's black people's fault. And we know it's not any race of people's fault. It's not white, it's not black, it's not this, not that. But what they're trying to do again is things were very good when I was in high school. When I was in high school, things were fine. When I was in college, when I was in the military, we didn't talk about it. You know why? Because this person, like I had two friends, Will and Stu, and they were like my best. Hey, shh, hey, I'm in an apartment, unfortunately, while my house is getting built. And when somebody thumps on something that makes a low noise, he decides it's time to guard everybody because like I'm asleep. Doug is fun said USA recruitment for the Army is low. That's why. Yeah. What kind of people are they going to be getting? Sorry for muting, but I don't want to keep having barking. And why is this becoming a problem again? Because they're literally trying to make in groups fight constantly. Men against women, straight versus the gay community, black versus white versus Latino. They all want us fighting amongst ourselves because if we all, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me is if you had a nest of wasps or bees. Bees are a community. Let's use bees. It reminds me is if you had a community of bees and those bees are all together gathering um, pollen. They're all communicating really well. They're all going back to the hive. They're making honeycomb. They're making honey. They're raising their broods. Everything's going really well. And they just need to keep walking up and whacking that thing with a bat. And the reason why they're doing it is to send all the bees in a tizzy and they can never form a cohesive unit. And the reason why they do that is because they don't want you seeing what the government's doing, make questioning things. Saying it, wait a minute, why are we doing this? Why is my money, my taxpayer money going over to this thing or doing this? Why are we involved in this or that? Why are we in debt $30 trillion and our GDP is now below what we owe just on interest? Why is our country or countries going bankrupt? Diamondback, 1984. Thanks for the $2, man. 1984. Wow. Yeah, very much so. I bet you guys, some of you may know this, and I'm not going to get into the news portion of it. But again, I want you to think why they keep stirring this nest up so that we don't all get together and look at what's going on. Did you know right now they shut off gas? Russia shut off gas through Nord Stream. I think it is one. And now Europe is out of gas. So do you know where Europe's buying gas? From China and from India. Guess where China and India is getting their natural gas from? Russia. So they say, "Oh, we're gonna lock it all down, and we're really gonna punish Russia with these sanctions." And Russia's like, "I'll just sell it to China." China's like, "You want some gas? Here you go." So what happens? Europe's still getting the same gas. It's just going through China and being tripled in price, and you guys are paying it. Are the sanctions working on Russia? No, they're still selling it to China. Is uh, like, how stupid is that? All you're doing is tanking up this gas and sending it all the way down around the world and charging Europe 3 times the price of it. Sanctions aren't working on anybody, but see, it makes you feel good inside. Why is the news not talking about this? Well, they wanna talk about stuff like this instead. Keep you angry at your neighbor. Keep you angry at the guy down the street. Keep you angry at Orange Man that's not been in office for 2 years, but he's the biggest threat to, society. But in the same time, you're not gonna be able to afford your groceries. You're not gonna be able to afford your energy bill. But let's keep focusing on this other stuff, gang. That's what they're doing. Um, Dior's $50. Oh, I got a button for anything 50 and more. Let me see if I can find it. All right, here we go. One moment. I had to put a big like yay sound. I don't know what else to put in there. Dior's $50. Thanks. Hey BB, I really appreciate what your channel and other channels like Strong Successful Male are doing for men. Over the last 6 months, I've been going on a RP binge because of channels like yours. Men and women need to get ready for the WROL and the SHTF, which is the shizzle hitting the fan, so to speak. Yeah, they're keeping everybody like bees, all angry at each other. And what's happening in the meantime? Now, here's the man, this is the stuff that I don't understand. It's just crazy. 12 major cities hit an all-time uh, person deletion record. And they say it's worse than a war zone around here lately, police officials said. Gang, that's from last year. It's even worse right now. And again, I'm getting to the studies. I've only got like one or two more articles, but I'm just throwing because what I want you to do is see all the chaos around you, and it's for a reason. Now they say here, Switzerland is jailing people who turn their thermostats up too high in the winter, above 66 degrees Fahrenheit or 19 degrees Celsius, I believe that is. And California is following similar energy policies. Now, here's the thing: somebody from Switzerland said they're not jailing you; they're just throwing on a fine. They say here fines between basically 30 and 3,000 Swiss francs, or $31 and 3,000. Okay, so maybe they aren't even. They say that they may get fines and jail and everything else. Maybe they're not jailing, but they're fining you for using too much electricity that you already pay for, so they can keep this other conflict. And then and California came out, and California says, "Hey, we've got a mandate. You can only buy electricity or electric cars by 2035. No more gasoline powered cars. Also, you can't charge your electric car, and please turn off your air conditioning because we're running out of solar and wind electricity." Like the and if you look at all this stuff, the takeaway that I want you guys to remember, none of this is logical. None of this makes sense. It's all it's all for the emotion, the feel good karma, the oh, we're really putting those screws into Russia, boy, except they're not. Oh, we're really, affirming care for kids, except they're not. Oh, we're those white people hate everybody and everybody doesn't like Amazon, Lord of the Rings of New Guinea, whatever they call it. The newest, I watched that. It is horrible. Oh, it's so boring. So boring. Everybody that dislikes the Ring series on Amazon is just Rossicists, all the isms and phobes. And I watched it. I'm not a purist Tolkien fan. I'm not a purist by any means. I watched it and I was like, I don't really care about any of the swapping and all that other stuff. It's just boring. It is badly written and boring. So if I want to complain about that, now I'm one of the isms. It's because again, they have to protect their crazy thoughts. And never in time did I think that if you were the one that made sense, if you were the intelligent one, you had to be shut down and shut up so you don't offend the stupid people. That's what's going on right now. That if you can make analytic decisions and you can say, hey, this doesn't make sense, they'll tell you, hey, you need to shut up because you're hurting the feelings of the stupid people. That's where we are right now. And here's the epitome of this. Okay, and I got the study coming up next. Jesse Meek, $10. Thank you very much. Holy crap, what happened to your beard? LOL. Thank you for providing a place for over guys to go and get their heads straight. Thanks, man. Um, somebody says probably look like you do when I was born. I was a pretty baby. I am a long way from pretty right now. Let me tell you. But here's the thing, gang, and this is the last one, and then I'll get into the study. Ask yourself, and again, politics aside, ask yourself, does this make any sense? Okay? Because this is what I'm talking about of conditioning and kicking that beehive and keeping people angry. So you don't pause for a minute and look what's going on in your own governments, in your own Hollywood, all the upper elites doing all this stuff. This is from CBN News. They say state law will release second. I have to get around these words. State law will release people that end other people without bail. Yes, you heard that right. They say when a new Illinois law takes effect next year, it will do away with the cash bail system in the state, meaning suspected charges with felonies will get booked in. They get handed a summons for court and they're released, including very dangerous people. Now they call it, you want to know the irony, guys? They call it the Safety Act. They call it the Fairness and Equity Today Act. They call it the Safety, and it's actually the Safety, Accountability, Fairness, and Equity Today Act, also known as the Safety Act. Safety. Oh, it's a safety act. We're going to keep everybody safe. See, don't listen to the titles. Listen to what's in them. Now, get this, guys. And if you live in Illinois, I'm telling you now, I've said this now for 2 years, and if you don't make arrangements to leave and something happens to you or your loved ones or your family, it's on you. The information's out there. So here's the offenses. And again, I can't say all these words. If you are arrested for second degree ending someone, aggravated battery, arson, drug induced ending somebody else, kidnapping, burglary, robbery, intimidation, aggravated DUI, aggravated fleeing and eluding, drug offenses, and threatening a public official, they will be arrested, given a ticket, and released. They will be released with no bail, same day, turnaround, maybe 2 days. So here's the thing, guys. All right. I did have a clip, and I lost the clip, but it was by a police official, and this tells you how serious it is. It was by a police official, and he was like head of one of the law enforcement agencies in this area. And he read this off, and he said at the end of that, he said, that means if somebody breaks into your home and decides to live there and threatens you and maybe ends a family member, when the cops get there, they will detain them, arrest them, take them down, book them, give them a summons to go to court, and they're allowed to walk out and come right back into your house where they just ended one of your loved ones and live. All the cops can do is when they get a chance to get around to it, they'll come by and they'll give them another summons for. Do you know how overwhelmed the police force is or going to be? And you know, the crazy thing is that if you pull out, and this is again in Illinois, if you pull out something to defend your own family, you now get added into the system as a felon. And if you're asking yourself, why in the ever loving hell would they do that? Just remember, bees, kicking the bee's nest. They want people to be angry at other people. They want people scared because you know what? When people and we're getting into the study here. I got the study right here. We're getting into this now. They want the conditioning. Oh, you see a person that you don't know in your neighborhood. Maybe they're wearing a hoodie and it's kind of at dusk. The first thing they want you to do is be afraid. The first thing they want you to do is be angry. And you know what? That keeps that bee's nest just going on and going on and going on. But they're teaching it to the kids. They're teaching it to the kids so that when the kids grow up, see, they're used to this. This is how society's supposed to be. Big Daddy government will take care of me. They're already doing it now. Look at the single moms out there. Single moms are through the roof. 60% in some communities, all the way up through 80% of some communities. Big Daddy government. That government will take care of me. But what happens and why all these communities eventually fall is because the people that take become a bigger group than the people that make. And everything goes bankrupt. And all the people that were dependent on the government now demand the stuff from the people working. And eventually the people working say, you know what, I'm just going to not work anymore. I can be free all day and do nothing all day and get from the government like everybody else. And pretty soon you have no one producing and everybody taking. And they also call this Venezuela. They call this socialism. They call it communism. The only difference is with communism, they force you to do it at the end of a hot lead injector. So many people have heard of Pavlov's dog and the discovery of classical conditioning. And I'm not going to read through the whole background, but I'm going to read this because it's something I want you to kind of take forward with you. They say in his digestive research, Pavlov and his assistants would introduce a variety of edible and non-edible items and measure the saliva production that the item produced. Salivation, he noticed, is a reflexive process. It occurs automatically in response to a specific stimuli or stimulus and is not under conscious control. However, Pavlov noted that the dogs would often begin salivating in absence of food and smell. He quickly realized that the salivary response was not due to an automatic physiological process. So, based on his observations, he suggested that salivation was a learned response. The dog subjects were responding to the sight of the research assistant's white lab coats, while the animals had come to associate with the presentation of food. Unlike the salivary response, the presentation of food, which is an unconditioned reflex, salivating to the expectation of food is a conditioned reflex. Let me read this before it disappears. John Williams, $10. Thank you very much. You're one of my favorite influencers. Just joined locals. Keep up the good fight, brother. Thanks, man. And guys, again, a reminder, I'm going to be doing a live stream right after this. When this ends at 5 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, which is about an hour from now, I'm going to be doing a live stream straight over there. And I'm going to be doing more of the Tinder stuff. And I like them because there's only about 200 people in the live stream. They do have like super chat type functions. So you can tip a little bit and leave a message, even if it's all free, guys. It's all free. All you have to do is become a member. That's it. You don't have to support me with a monthly or yearly anything. Because I'm trying to do the Pavlov thing of getting you guys conditioned to get the hell off of YouTube and go to other sites where we can talk about some of these things a little bit more. See, I'm using Pavlov's thing against you. So anyway, he started and then went to a metronome and then he went to a bell. And meaning he'd ring a bell, and what it was is the assistants and the lab coats would come in and feed the dogs that he was doing other experiments on or with. And when they saw the lab coat, they associated that with food is arriving and they would salivate. So anyway, he did let out the tests, and eventually he just rang a bell. And as soon as he rang that bell, the dogs' mouths started dripping because they knew what was coming next, which was food. They say the impact of Pavlov's research. Pavlov's discovery of classical conditioning remains one of the most important in psychology's history. Pavlov's work has also inspired research on how to apply classical conditioning principles. Um, Dr. Heino 419, $2, collective consciousness decaying. It's not collective consciousness decaying. It's being reprogrammed, I think. Anyway, the principles have been used to prevent coyotes from preying on domestic livestock because they would inject it with they'd inject the livestock with something that would make their muscle fiber taste horrible. And so the coyotes realized that, well, if we eat these, it doesn't taste good. We don't like it. And so they stopped eating the other animals. How does this come into play for men today? How does this come into play for society today? How many of you guys know that if I do X, Y is probably going to happen, right? If I act too needy towards a woman, she's going to be disinterested. That's kind of and it doesn't it's happened so many times that you're conditioned to believe this. And it happened to me too, because a lot of the time, see, some of this stuff is true too. There's a reason why we have these built-in things. They're protective. If I touch this stove, it's going to burn me. And I know that's not exactly the same thing, but it's if I do X, I think Y is going to happen. And that conditioning happens to where even if X doesn't happen, you assume Y is going to happen. That's the conditioning that's happening today. You can be a good man, but you're treated like crap from a woman because she's been conditioned that all men are bad, that men are just players. Well, the guys that actually get a chance to play, right? The top 5 or 10 percenters. Those guys are just players. Those guys just sleep with women and use them and then dump them. So all men are like that. That's the type of conditioning they're going through. They're going through this conditioning that if I show a little bit of skin on social media and then I show a little bit more, I notice I get more likes and more comments and more shares. So I'm going to show more and more and more. And next thing you know, you're on OF trying to make money, showing everything that you got, and probably inserting things in places you probably shouldn't be. That's the social conditioning that's happening. They're conditioning women to behave badly. They're conditioning women to dislike men. They're conditioning women, if you want to get along with a social pack and you want to be popular and you want to get a lot of attention, then do these crazy things. And they're doing this in all things, and it's to keep that bee's nest and everything going crazy. But in the same condition, guys, I want you to remember something, and this is a positive for you because this is what happens to a lot of men. I had a relationship. She burnt me. She cheated on me. She took me for everything I'm worth. I got divorced. I get ghosted all the time, and that becomes a cycle of repeating to where you know what I've been treated badly by a lot of women. Therefore, women are bad, and that's not the truth. That's not the truth. You can say a large portion of them on the dating apps are. A large portion of them will take advantage of men when you get married. Yes, those are all true. But don't do the because of this all something else is bad. Because I hear a lot of guys and I get a lot of emails and I get a lot of messages on the forums over on the betterbachelor.locals.com. I get a lot of things that are like, "Man, I want to date. I've met this nice girl. We've been dating for 3 years. She's conservative. She likes to cook. She makes more money than I do." Like one guy told me she makes twice the salary I do. He said, we're both right around 30. She's beautiful. She very, very low body count, like 3 previous boyfriends. Should I should I ask her to marry me? And he's asking me, and I'm like, I don't know who the hell. I don't know who the hell she is. Don't ask me. but he's been so conditioned by men's channels and information out there that he's scared to death. But in the past, this would have been an easy decision to make. But because of the way that society treats men and because of everything that's going on right now, guys have that Pavlovian response of, "Hey, I really like this woman. Is it just a matter of time? Or she's going to treat me bad, or she's going to cheat on me, or she's going to take." Yes, she might, but she also might not. You have to gauge each interaction with everybody uniquely. And I'll say this too, guys, is that a lot of times I think it's very easy for men to have bad things happen to them, and they get into kind of a nihilistic black place where they say, "You know what? This is unfair. Life is unfair. Life is awful." And again, society is training you to hate yourself. Why do you think commercials and movies and uh, news articles and the government in some cases? I mean, Alexandria Occasional Cortex came out the other day, and she's like, "Oh yeah, everybody is against me because I'm a woman." So you are in our government. You were elected into our government. Stop playing the victim card. Like you've made it, but they still have to point to men as a boogeyman. And they're gonna keep doing this, but what will happen to our youth, guys? What'll happen to young men out there? And when I mean young men, I mean 30, 40, maybe even. But usually the guys that are in their early 20s, maybe don't have a lot of experience in life yet, is they're like, "Man, everybody's holding me down. Everybody hates me. The government says bad stuff, movies, commercials." And it's kind of that Pavlov's dog bell ringing where they're training you to when they say sit down and shut up because you're a man, a lot of guys say, "I'm just going to keep my head down. I'm not going to fight back." Charlie Brown 757 for $2. Thank you. People fight fire with fire and everyone is burned. Yeah. Yeah, but understand, guys, what they're trying to do is over the decades, over the years, they're trying to weaken men to where they're malleable and they can control them and they can tell guys what to do and they can tell you to shut up and sit down. You don't deserve an opinion. And you know what's big right now, guys? And I know you in the United States have seen this. You know what's big right now? That everybody can actually make fun of white men. Everybody can say, "We're not hiring white men. We do not want white men." Now this is the isms that we talk about, but it's being reversed and it's being used against men. And if you complain, well, you've had inherent privilege. So shut up. You're a man. So shut up. And they're working on shutting men down. And maybe guys like us won't feel it, but what do you think the young men of today feel? And what do you think of the kids, that are growing up in, let me see if I can find it here. What do you think of the young men are feeling when they're going to this? Why do you think that everybody that's identifying as one of these communities, "Oh, you're brave and strong and you're wonderful." But if you're just like, "Nope, I'm just a straight old white guy," they're like, "Boo, we hate you." It's this crazy indoctrination that's just happening through everything. So understand it's being done for a reason. They're trying to rewire your brain to fall in line with this stuff. And what you need to do is not only it's not just okay to keep your head down anymore. I'm I'm kind of a libertarian. I like the Constitution, so I'm kind of a constitutionalist slash libertarian. I'm kind of a, hey, you know what? You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone kind of guy. But you know something? You know where that's gotten us? A whole lot of people have said, "Go ahead, crazies. You do your thing." Unfortunately, the crazies said, "You know what, though? I want your kids to be crazy. I'm going to hold this against you. I'm going to put you down. I'm going to harm your income. I'm going to call you all the isms and phobes if I don't like your opinion about something." And they're trying to shut us down. And that's at the point where I say, I'm going to stay away from the politics, but I'll be damned if you're just going to come around and start putting down men, start putting down me, start putting down people that think differently as if they have all these isms and phobes. We're not playing that game anymore. And the only way you push back against that is to open your damn mouth and speak your mind. And you can do it in a polite way. As a matter of fact, you will get much more results from doing it in a polite way and from a way of knowledge and facts. But a lot of the one of the reasons why it's so hard to talk to some of these crazy women and everybody else that's gone off their rockers is because they don't care about your opinion. They don't care about your facts. They just want to be angry. They just want to be right. Their emotions supersede facts and logic. And you have to remember this when you're interacting with people like this, because it will, as a logic driven person, it will drive you mad. It will drive you crazy. So just understand what they're doing to youth, what they're doing to men, how they're reprogramming women to not want families and not just find a guy and have a good relationship, but to be easy and put themselves on an OF. All this rewiring, if you notice, has really, really come on crazy since about 2016. And I think what happened is in 2016, things went off the rails from what the government wanted it to do. And then again, when the bug came around and all these kids started homeschooling and parents could see what was happening in classrooms, that was the second thing where people went, "What's going on?" And instead of trying to hide it, they said, "Well, we're out. Let's just go with it. Let's just slam it home. Let's just push it." And that's what's going on right now. But you got to keep your chins up, guys. And I mean, you guys have to keep your chins up. Don't have two chins. If you do, get to the damn gym. And here's the other one I wanted to talk about. And again, I'm live streaming in about 45 minutes over at betterbachelor.locals.com. If you want to join me over there, it's free. Live stream is free. I'm going to be doing more of the Tinder stuff. I'll record it and put it over here on YouTube if you can't make it. All right. So there's something called learned helplessness, guys. And I think a lot of men are falling into this. And this will lead you to a place where you feel like no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, no matter how much I dig in, I can't get ahead. No matter how nice I am to women, I can't get a girlfriend. No matter how hard I work, I can't make it. And that happens over and over again. No matter how many times I swipe on a dating app, I'm not getting any connections. And what happens is it's called learned helplessness. And it actually is. I'm going to read the experiment about it. But what it does is because same kind of thing that if I do this, I know this is going to happen, and eventually you don't get the negative input, but you still have the positive. And I'll give you a good example. Let's say girls break your heart. Girls break your heart. They ghost you. They cheat on you. They divorce you. They do whatever, and it happens over and over and over and over and over again. What happens is that each person that you interact with, each woman that you deal with, each date that you go on, each situation is a completely new situation. Now, the results may be similar, right? But it's a completely new situation. But before even entering that situation, you're already of the mindset of this isn't going to work, or she's X, or women are bad, or my job sucks, or working sucks, or life sucks. A lot of guys get down that far. Um, rational irrationality. $5 says they don't have the capability for logical reason. They only can emulate off the emotional beta male, which gives off subject ideation. What a dichotomy. I think they do have the ability to filter the logic. The problem is if they work through the logic, it doesn't come to the answer they want. And so therefore they don't want to hear the logic. They just want to scream over it instead and pretend the rest doesn't exist. Okay, so let's talk about learned helplessness here. Because guys, if you can understand this concept, you will understand the what do I do with my life? I'm never happy. Nothing ever works out for me is actually a trained response by you to outside forces. And that if you can get rid of this, and if you can shed this from your mind, you'll realize that you can find yourself back on a good track. But you're kind of being beaten down, and then you're remembering what happened. They say learned helplessness is the behavior exhibited by a subject after enduring a repeated adverse stimuli beyond their control. It was initially thought to be caused by the subject's acceptance of their powerlessness, discontinuing attempts to escape or avoid the adverse stimulus, even when such alternatives are ambiguously presented. Upon exhibiting such behavior, the subject was said to have acquired learned helplessness. Over the past few decades, neuroscience has provided insight into learned helplessness and shown that the original theory had it backward. The brain's default state is to assume that control is not present. That's the default state. And the presence of helpfulness is what is learned first. However, it is unlearned when a subject is faced with prolonged averse stimulation. So here's the experiment, and I'll break it down a little bit more because I know that it's not exactly an easy read. But Martin Seligman initiated research back in 1967 at the University of Pennsylvania. And group one, they took dogs basically, okay? And they took three groups of dog. Ones were placed in harnesses and had them removed. That was the control group. Then you had group two and group three. Group two would be shocked on the collar, and if they stepped on a pedal, it would turn off the shock. Group three, those dogs, their collars were linked to group two. So when group two got a shock, the dog would go over and hit a pedal and it'd turn off the shock. But the dog group in group three, whose collars were linked to the ones in group two, when the shock came and went, was random. They didn't have a pedal to stop it. They didn't have any way to control the shock. Does this make sense so far? So the twos could control it. Group three was just like, I don't know why I'm getting shocked, and it stops all of a sudden. I have no idea why. And it was the dog group that was causing it to stop. In part two of the experiment, the same three groups of dogs were tested in a shuttle box of apparatus. And that is this box right here, where it's they've got shock rollers. At the bottom, one half is shock, the other half is no shock. And they just had a little barrier to hop over to get away from the shock. Okay. They said part two of the experiment, they were tested in the shuttle box. All of the dogs could escape shocks on one side of the box by jumping over a low partition to the other side. The dogs in group one, the control group, and group two, the dogs that can control the shock on and off when they got zapped, quickly learned this task and escaped the shock. Most of the group three dogs, which had previously learned that nothing they did had any effect on the shocks, simply lay down passively and whined when they were shocked. In a second experiment later that year with a new group of dogs, Mayer and Seligman ruled out the possibility that instead of learned helplessness, the group three dogs failed to avert in the second part of the test because they had learned some behavior that interfered with the escape. To prevent such interfering behavior, group three dogs were immobilized. I know this is dry. I'll give you a summary at the end here and what my point is. Group three dogs were immobilized with a paralyzing drug and underwent a procedure similar to that in part one. When tested as before in part two, these group three dogs exhibited helplessness as before. The result serves as an indicator for ruling out the interference hypothesis. Okay, and they go on. I'm going to leave it there, but pooping while standing. what an awful thought to have. $2. Joker, we're living in Calhoun's mouse utopia. Yeah, we are. So that's such a great study. So anyway, the research came to this, guys, okay, that a normal dog that doesn't have any interference with his natural instincts, when he's put in the shock side of the box and he's zapped, he jumps over the partition to see if the other side is non-electrocuted, like it won't shock him. And they jump over, no shock, problem solved. The group of dogs that had an initial collar put around their neck that would shock them, and they could step on the pedal and turn off the shock whenever, when they were put in the same box and they were getting shocked, they would jump over as well. Because earlier, when they got the shock, they could control the shock by stepping on the pedal. They could turn it off. So they felt like they still had some control in the situation. The third group of dogs that were getting the same shock, they had no way to know when it was coming, nor did they have any control of turning it off. And because of that, when they were put in a box, even though they could have jumped over to test the other side that was shock free, They didn't. They didn't move. They just laid down and whined. Now, why this has something to do with men today and in the situation that we're in, not just in society, but in men in general, is guys, many of you have had bad things happen to you over and over again, whether it's by women, whether it's by job, whether it's by family, whether it's by whatever. And again, I receive some of these letters and email and on messages over on the betterbachelor.locals.com board where guys message me and they'll say, "Man, I don't know what to do. I've done this and the job let me go. And then I got another job and then they let me go. And then another job and they let me go. And then I fell in love with a woman and she did this and another woman and she did this." And over the years, what's happening is you're getting all these bad things happening to you and you feel like they're out of your control. Like, I don't know how to stop women from doing this to me. I don't know how to stop my job doing this to me. And you almost get in you get in a conditioned response to where you'll get to the point where you say, why bother living anymore? Why bother keep going? Everything that happens to me is bad. Everything that goes wrong in my life is out of my control. Why do I keep struggling? Why do I keep fighting? I'm just going to give up. Um, Stephen Lott, welcome to the channel. Appreciate you becoming a member. And Johnny Vegas, $10. Thank you very much. Joker, just a brother from another mother in Seattle, showing you some appreciation. Save our boys, save our men. Thanks, man. Wow, Seattle, you're a brave man. Brave man. At least it's not Portland or San Fran. Okay, so what does this tell us, guys? What does this tell you? All right. There's literally experiments showing this. If a woman treats you badly, if you love a woman and she treats you badly and the relationship ends badly and it happens again and it happens again and it happens again, it's very easy to fall into a place where you say, you know something? Nothing I do makes a relationship work. Nothing I do makes women good. Nothing I do works out. I'm going to quit. Now, if you know the statistics in dating and marriage and, you know, divorce and all that stuff, you can say, yeah, like I understand that. But when you say, like, I'd love to date a woman, I'd like to find a woman, but I'm not even going to bother because all women are X. That's a mistake if you want a woman. Now, a lot of guys are like, I'm actually happier without them. And I believe me, I get that. There's no negative. Like, I would never give anybody a hard time over that, nor would most men. Matter of fact, most of the time they'd call them the smart men. But if in your heart as a young man you say, I've never experienced love, I've never slept with a woman, I've never loved anybody, but every time I match on Tinder, this is the result. Every time this happens, this is the result. You have two choices. You can say it's out of my control, there's nothing I can do, I quit. Or you can say, I'm going to change I'm going to change the parameters and try again. And I'm going to change the parameters more and try again and more and more. There was a point in time I had hair and I had a little tiny bald spot up here and it was getting kind of thin right here. And you can do all your damnedest to try to cover it up and everything else. You can just say, hey, I'm going bald. I'm going to shave it. But I noticed when I was dating, women would comment on it. They're like, oh, you should trim your hair shorter or something, the bald spot. I don't like it or whatever. Can I say, "Oh, women are just stupid and selfish, and they don't like men because they're losing their hair, and that's not fair?" Or do I say, "You know what? Maybe I'll try changing the parameters of this and see if I have better results." Now I've literally dated women that are like, "Oh, I love rubbing your head when it's freshly shaved. That's so sexy." Okay, we changed the parameters, and the outcome was different. When you have like I have had a myriad of jobs that haven't worked out well for me. I'm sure a lot of you guys have too. What do we do? Well, we can keep trying to bang away at it and hoping for a different result. We can give up. We can get depressed. Or you can say, I'm going to change. I'm going to change what I'm doing. If you're a male HR guy and you work in human resources, you might as well throw the rope around the rafters and hang yourself from it because it's not going to get any better. But if you say, you know what, I keep doing this and the end result is something bad or something awful or something whatever, working with the bunch of these henpecked women, you know what, wipe all the pieces off the chessboard, okay? Maybe you've gotten yourself in a bad position playing chess. if you know how to play chess. Maybe you got a bad hand in cards or poker or whatever, if you want to look at it that way. Maybe you got a bad hand and you know something, instead of trying to pound it through, fold it and say, I want a fresh hand. I'm going to start over again. That's what I did. I was in a miserable place in my life and I sold everything, I quit everything and I like went backpacking around the world for 15 months. It reset my life. Now when I came back, I didn't have anything going on for me. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. But I'll tell you something, I decided I'm just going to wipe the board and start over again and see how this turns out for me. So I wanted to cover this, guys, because with society crapping on men, with dating being awful, with women being awful, with your options being awful, with women entering the workplace and seeming to get more promotions, and they're such a protected class, and you're a white guy who's awful and at the bottom of the heap. It's real easy to say, I got to start over. What am I going to do? Why bother? But I can tell you this: there's always that ability, like this little cute pup here. There's always the ability to hop over the separator. There's always the ability to start over. Every situation is different, even if it feels like every other situation you've been in. And the minute that you've been trained to give up, the minute that you've been in this cycle and you get caught in this cycle and you say, I'm not going to bother anymore, or why bother? Because whatever happens is awful and I hate it, you're now trapped. And the only thing that's trapped you truly is yourself, because there are other options out there. There are ways to escape it. It's just you don't have the energy, like the poor dogs that felt like, why bother? I'm just going to lay here and whine, feel bad about myself. All they had to do is jump over, and there's freedom over on the other side. And the way this relates to you guys is this: whether it's your job, whether you don't like your weight, whether you don't like your health, whether you smoke. I quit pipes and all that stuff, and I still vape. This is it. I've literally got like this much left in my bottle. That's it. Once that's gone, I'm just done with it, right? Because I don't like that about me. Whether it's your diet is poor, whether it's your job that you're miserable with, but you just keep sticking in there because you don't know what else to do, or you're afraid to leap over to the other side of the fence. Fear is a great motivator to make people do nothing. I'm afraid of starting over. I'm afraid of XYZ. I'm nervous. What happens if? Set yourself up in a place in life to where you say, you know what, I want to change jobs. So what do? For the next 6 months or 1 year, whatever, I'm going to save up a cushion of money so that if I change jobs, I can find something I actually want to do for myself. And I've got this money to rely upon. Then I can go search for something that's different, or a different vocation or whatever. If you want to date and you say, you know what, I never got matches on Tinder and all of that, learn how to talk to women, learn how to dress sharply, learn how to get out there and change your circumstances. But if you fall into this negative rut where, no matter what I do, the world's against me and everything's against me and everything sucks, and you're going to stay there and you're going to find no motivation to move on with your life. And I'll tell you what, fellas, I've been in that rut. Most successful people are, and I'm not saying I'm successful, I just mean most successful people, they don't get it first time at bat. There's a reason why there's backup quarterbacks. They're hoping they get a shot at the game. But they didn't give up and say, "Well, I'm not a millionaire that's on the covers Sports Illustrated. I'm only a third string or second string backup, and I only get paid 300 grand a year versus everybody else making a million. Screw this. I hate football. It's not fair." No, they show up to practice. They keep going. They wait for maybe an offer from another team. They wait till maybe the guy ahead of them gets injured, and they get a chance to shine. That's the way you gotta go after it. But it's natural to get programmed and feel bad. You're just gonna have to pull yourself out of it. Let's see, Dungus Fun says, "People on this platform are watching and listening." I hope so. I hope they're not here just to see my pretty face. That's not gonna turn out very well, I'll tell you that right. Let's see, "Where's my mind?" $5, thank you. "Thanks to you and CGA, I've learned to take more control over a relationship. This means no marriage because you will lose control in the end." Exactly. If I'm man, like I know the end of a marriage means you're probably going to lose half your stuff and everything else. It doesn't mean that you have to give up on the relationship. You just know the rules. But even if you get burnt and even if you have a hard time and even if you're hurt, it doesn't mean you stop. Let's see. Dung is fun. $2. Being on here is like 1984. Thanks. Guys, if you would please give a thumbs up to this. So when I save it, um, it goes because I'm going to save it and just list it as one of my normal videos. Please give it a slap a thumbs up. It's free. It's fun. It's cheap. It's easy, but it'll get it up in the algorithm so other people can see this if you think this is helpful. Um, so yeah, guys, in the end, you may say, what's the point of doing what's the point of making tons of money? Okay, don't make tons of money. Find something you're passionate about. What's the point of dating? Okay, don't date. Find a hobby, find a group of guys you want. I'm dating, but I don't want to get married. Okay, great. Let her know that and enjoy it. But the minute you get this nihilistic, like nothing's ever going to change, you're just like these poor dogs in this experiment where even though the next step in their journey is just a little hop away, they won't take it because it's been zapped out of them. Don't let it be zapped out of you. Keep a positive mind, keep pushing for it, keep going for it. And you've got a long time on this planet. I look at I'm coming up on my 50th birthday in like a month, just about a month. I'm going to be 50. And it's easy to say, hey, you know what? Average male life expectancy is something like 75. I only got 25 years left on this planet. Oh, what's it matter? Who cares? You know what? Go get that next sunset. Go get that next trip. Go get that next job. Go get that next date. Go get that next girl. Go get that next hobby. Go get that. It is worth it. You will find the happiness that you're searching for. The only way you don't ultimately is if you do give up. And you may have to get hammered, you may have to get knocked down, you may have to get hurt, but the only way you make it through it is by crawling through it. And if you think that's too hard, look at history at some of these military conflicts we've had. Look what some of the men did, whether it was WW1, WW2, some of these other conflicts. There were men with feet that were blackened from frostbite, and they're bleeding, and they're cut, and they're hungry, and they're shivering, and they've lost all their body fat. And you know what? Would have been real easy for them to lay down and just say, "That's it, I'm done." But they kept going, and they kept going. Some of them lost a foot, some of them lost an eye, some of them didn't come home, but you know what? A whole lot of them did. And all they had to do is keep pushing and keep pushing. The guy that laid down in that ditch with the frozen feet and gave up and froze to death, the other guy that kept pushing and kept pushing, whole lot of them went home. Whole lot of them found wives. Whole lot of them found careers and jobs they loved. Maybe that's a bad analogy, but the whole point is if you're in your darkest or you're finding yourself with this repeating problem, get out of it. Change your situation. And if you're afraid to change your situation, usually that's when I say that's the most important time to change your situation because that means you're trapped up here. And if you can get away with it or get away from it, it's the way to go. Let's see. Dung is fun. Dung is fun. The reference 1984. I used to be able to spell certain words a certain way so that people can still read, but now that has changed very quickly. Yeah, 1984, man. If you haven't read that one, that and Animal Farm, I think, is pretty close to right now. Johnny Vegas, $5. Thanks. Joker, any advice for a guy in networking, currently a network technician looking to become a network engineer? That's what I did. So I was a Linux guy. I knew the language, Linux language pretty well. I couldn't write drivers, compatibility drivers and stuff, but I understand my way around the Linux operating system and through terminal pretty well. I got into network engineering by working for a network company, and then I got a couple of certifications. I went and talked to my manager, and I said, "Hey, if I go take, this Cisco network certification, CCNE, if I go and take this certification, will I get reimbursed? Because it's like I think at the time it was like $5,000 or $8,000." And they said, "Yeah, if you we'll pay half of it, and if you pass it, we'll pay all of it." So the company paid for it. So I took one or two of those, and then after they paid for it, I worked a little while longer, so it didn't seem like I was milking them. And then I used those certifications to get another job, and that's how I eventually, my formal education probably cost me, I don't know, 5, 6 grand of certifications. That's how I ended up working for a company that ended up paying me about 122,000 my last year, 122,000 a year. So, guys, if you're in a rut, if you're unhappy, you've heard the spiel now. I don't have to say it all again. Just get out there and get it. Don't let your past experiences keep your future experiences from you. And if you don't know which direction to go and you feel like you're in a dead end or you're lacking motivation, start. Just start with something. Start with a job change. Start with joining a club to make friends. Start with going to the gym. Start with anything. Get yourself past that, shock phase where you don't think it's going to work out for you. Same thing in dating. That if you do want to date, dating apps aren't working out for you, go meet people in real life. Go find reasons to be in a social circle. Go join a club that has men and women, become friends with the men, and then see how things go with the women. Just don't give up. Don't give up, fellas, in all things, because the minute you've done that, I guarantee you lose. All right, looks like we've cleared up super chats. Thank you guys very much for joining me today. I appreciate it. Again, betterbachelor.locals.com, 20 minutes. I'll be doing a live stream over there talking about some of the craziness here. I got some back and forth from the chats from people that matched up on social media, which I think will be funny. So join me over there, guys, about 20 minutes from now, and we'll see you next time. Stay safe, guys. Stay smart. Keep at it.